हाय फ्रेंड्स। आज का जो टॉपिक है वी वांट टू टॉक अबाउट ओल्ड राइस वर्सेस न्यू राइस. हाउ कैन वी identify old rice? Is there a way to identify old rice versus new rice? Let's try and address whether it's really possible. But even before we talk about that, I want to show you a few things, my friends. I would like to show how, in our office, how actually we study the rice, what all varieties of rice. I would just want to show you a glimpse of our office and the rice that is kept here. So these are all the rice samples that we keep continuously getting. Not might not be kept in a very good way, but this is how we try to collect samples of each shipment, calling multiple samples from rice millers. So what I'm trying to tell my friends is that it becomes very important to kind of keep continuously studying rice, because otherwise we will not be able to understand the rice, we will not be able to study the rice, we will not be able to identify different qualities. So for example, I can show you a few things, right? Here I have Sona Masuri raw, which is on my table here. This is, how do you identify? Is this a new crop or old crop? Are you able to identify? Let's talk about this in quite some time. You can see rejected rice here. So they call it the rejected rice, which has come out of the sortex machine. After the color sortex, it separates out the old gray, the discolored grain, damaged grain. I'm going to show you IR64 fresh paddy milling quality rice. This is IR64 paddy milling quality. We also have a rice cooker here in our office, so that we can test cook the rice samples. I'm going to show you some Nellore Sona rice, which is here in our office. How does Nellore Sona look compared to Sona Masuri, right? So this is how. And then also, if this is IR64 paddy milling, fresh quality of IR64, let me quickly show you how rice to rice quality of IR64 looks like. So the rice to rice quality of IR64 looks something like this. So you can see that the rice is very dull, in color. Why? Because this is rice to rice. The rice is milled long back, and then it has come back to the rice mill. They have tried to polish it, give it a silky finish, but you can see that the rice is dull, looking dull, right? Why? Because this is rice to rice. Whereas we just saw paddy milling is looking something like this, right? You can see the whiteness. The whiteness is good. The grain is very clear. The grain is good looking. The grain is fresh because it's paddy milling. So how do we? So this is how we can make out. Lot of time we can actually make out by just looking at the rice. Right. So this is paddy milling, fresh milling, new crop of IR64 white 6 grain. Right. So you can see Sona Masuri, which is an old crop. So we have to kind of understand how do we assess quality of rice, my friends. So I'm going to quickly continue my discussion. while I'm quickly trying to fix my camera, my friends. So, what I want to talk about is how can we actually make out, different qualities of rice, old versus new. So, let me start by saying this: is that uh, normally in steam rice, the concept of old and new becomes very difficult. Even if the miller might say, even if your trader might say, even if some any of your contact in the rice industry might tell you, what happens is, if you are not buying rice in say, for example, in November, December, Jan, right? So, or say in April and May, or March and April, right? So if you're not buying at these time, that means that because you know that there is a new crop which comes out right after Diwali, which is roughly around say in December or November or even October, right? So at this time the new crop comes in. So whatever steam you buy, it is going to be definitely new crop. Or if you're buying say in April or May, it is definitely going to be a new crop because it is just harvested and that is the time of harvest. But if you are buying sometime in say Feb, right, it is already say 3 or 4 months old crop, right? This happens in steam. In steam, even if you want to buy say old crop, lot of times it might become difficult because in steam it is always the current crop that is milled. But when it comes to raw rice, especially Sona raw rice or Basmati raw rice, the concept of new and old becomes very important, and even millers do follow this very strictly. And there is a way to identify. In most of the rice, it is not able to directly understand which is old and which is new just by seeing. But if you cook the rice, you can definitely try and find out whether it is a new crop or old crop, right? For example, in raw, if you are cooking a new crop, it becomes very soggy and very sticky. Then you know that it is a new crop. Versus old crop, if you cook it, does not become sticky. The grains are separated, and the cooking will be really good. The rice will have a particular thickness and hardness, in an old crop, right? The other way of finding out in raw rice whether it is new or old is by seeing the or observing the is by seeing or observing the whiteness of the rice, my friends. So say for example Gobind Bhog in Kolkata, right? If there is a new crop raw, it will look very white in its look. Versus if it is old crop, it will be slightly dull. The whiteness will be slightly actually dull in its look, right? So in raw rice, two things that we can do is, one, by observing the whiteness. You will have to have both in front of you, raw, the old as well as new in raw. You can make out that the new is much whiter than the old one. Because why old one is not much whiter? Because the old paddy is kept for some amount of time, might be 3 months, 4 months, 5 months, sometimes even 1 year, right? So that time what happens is, the paddy, the rice would have kind of absorbed the paddy color from the paddy. So right, so it will naturally look a little bit dull in its look. Versus a new crop which has just harvested and directly milled, so it will look much whiter than the old crop, right? But in steam, you can only identify by cooking the rice. In raw, you can check by seeing, and you can check by cooking. So cooking, new becomes sticky, old becomes comes out very good in cooking. Whereas in steam, by seeing, it is very difficult to make out, because in steam you can dry the paddy at either say 9 to 9.5% moisture, or you can dry the paddy at 12% moisture. 9% moisture, dried paddy will look much whiter, versus a 12 moisture rice, which will look creamy in color. That is also done on purpose, because there are some, like for example in Tamil Nadu, the customers are used to see buying rice which is creamy in color, but in some other regions we want it whiter finish, is what they want. So those who want whiter finish, then the moisture, the miller has to dry it at 9% moisture with a less amount of resting that is given to the paddy. So the one way is in steam. It's always, keep in mind my friends, it is always the current crop that is being used. Old is very very rare until you know the miller very well, and you work jointly with the miller to mill a very old paddy, and you sell it also at a very high price, right? So say for example today's Sona Masuri rice in Raichur is roughly around 31 rupees, or 31,000 per ton. If you are buying rice at 31,000 per ton, then it is your current crop. The new crop might not have come, so the current crop becomes your November crop, right? But if you are buying the Sona steam at say 40 rupees or 42 rupees, it means that it's an old crop, because somebody has held that stock. They had to pay finance cost for it. They have to increase the price. So price, you have to see, my friends, if the price is on, it's like Sona Masuri raw for example, you can get new at 31 rupees, you can get old at around 38 to 40 rupees, right? So if you are buying at 38 to 40 rupees, that means it's an old crop, right? So if your new crop will come to you for very cheap. So there is no like for example, there can be a moisture meter where you can check the moisture of a rice. You can check broken percentage, but to check whether it's a new crop or old crop, until now there is no device to find that out. People who are watching this, if you come across any new method of testing old versus new crop, apart from say cooking test or the whiteness test, please do share by leaving your comment. Let us help our rice community to help and understand this better, right? So what I want to tell finally is that there is no device to check whether the rice is new or old, but there are some tricks that we can follow, like whiteness of raw rice, cooking test of raw rice and steam rice. Cooking of old rice is always it comes out separated. The cooking is really comes out really well, whereas new crop always sticks to each other, right? So this is one major difference. Whereas in parboiled, it is very difficult to make out, but steam and raw is very important, and this is how you can do. And very importantly, the concept of new versus old is first primarily only majorly given for raw rice, my friends. In steam rice, it's the second. People, yes, do ask whether it is a new crop and old crop, but in raw rice it is most important, and even millers follow this very they do really talk about it, and they do really follow. Millers do also have their own brand. Millers actually produce rice for also their own brand, plus they give it to other traders or exporters for packing. So if any of you have any questions or comments, please do leave it here on your comment section, my friends. So this is how it looks, what I showed you from the rice that is available here. There is IR64. I showed you IR64 new crop versus old crop. How does new crop and old crop look? Old crop is very dull in its look. New crop is very white in its look. So these kind of things that we can follow on our YouTube channel, my friends. There is a YouTube channel called PWIP. We have tried to post some rice pictures and videos. Please do have a look if you like it, and you can use that as a reference to make your study. But you should definitely call for a lot of samples from your rice miller friends. I'm again going to use this opportunity to show you the rice, my friends. This is how rice. We collect the rice samples here in our office. We keep studying the rice, different varieties of rice. This is again IR64 new crop, my friends. Let me try and let me try and put old crop and new crop of IR64s beside each other, so that we can actually try and make out some visual difference. So this is old crop rice to rice IR64. This is from a region called Mandya in Karnataka, my friends, and this is IR64 new crop that I'm putting here. I'm trying to keep one beside the other to kind of make a visual difference. Old crop versus new crop, or old rice versus new rice. So the right side, what you see is rice to rice, and on the left side, what you see here is paddy to rice. So this is, I'm going to write here, my friends, this is R to R. This is rice to rice. This is rice to rice, and this is paddy to rice. So you can see the visual difference. I'm going to go a little bit closely. You can see the visual difference. This is a little bit dull in its look versus new crop, which is much whiter in its looks, right? So this is how I want to look. But if you look very closely from the lot, which is here, you can see that it's very dull in its look. So this is how IR64 old crop looks like, and the new crop looks very, very white and very neat, and very customers will like. So it also depends, my friends, which if you're an exporter, if you are exporting to the say, if your rice is going to the Indonesian market, they always like the new crop. They like the sticky rice. But if you're sending to, say, for example, Singapore market, they always want old crop. They don't want the new, fresh, new crop, right? So it depends. If you're sending to any African market, they would always want old, because of the price. Rice to rice is quality that goes to African markets. This is rejected rice, which normally goes out as a cheaper rice, sometimes for animal feed or poultry feed. This is how I also showed Sona Masuri raw rice with us here. This is a parboiled rice, that how a parboiled rice looks like, of IR36. So here we have a Sona Masuri old raw rice, a little bit yellow because it is 1 year old. So you can see a little bit, the shade is a little bit yellow here. This is Sona Masuri raw, but you can see the shade is a little bit yellow because it is an old crop. So that is how this is all for today, my friends. I just wanted to show this is Sona Masuri new crop. You can see the whiteness here, so you can compare the whiteness of this is a new crop and this is the old rice. So you can see this is slightly yellowish and this is bright and white because this is the current crop, the new crop, right? So this is it for today, my friends. Thank you so much. I'll come back with another video on Saturday. Please, let's all connect. If you have any questions, any comments, please leave it so that I can try and make some video. If you have any information on if there's any smarter way of identifying raw rice and steamed rice, please do share so that it will all help us all. But before I end this video, I would suggest, my friends, keep calling for samples from millers, keep talking to millers, because they are the best people who can educate us on the rice milling process, paddy varieties, that is very, very important. So you have to have like samples like this in your office or at your home, so that you can keep studying this the rice. So uh, I'm gonna make a leave right now. So we will connect again next Saturday. Thank you so much, friends. Thanks.